The nurse's voice was shaking when she said, "Ma'am, your husband has been in a car accident. We found him with another woman." I was 8 months pregnant, standing in the nursery folding our baby's tiny clothes. Before I reached the hospital, I had already buried my marriage in my mind. My name is Olivia. I'm 31 years old, and I thought the hardest part of that day would be learning my husband had betrayed me. I had no idea the truth waiting in that hospital would expose years of lies, destroy an entire family, and change my child's future forever. Ethan and I had been married for 5 years. He wasn't perfect, but he made me laugh even on my worst days. When I finally became pregnant after 2 heartbreaking miscarriages, he cried harder than I did. "I'll spend the rest of my life protecting both of you," he whispered as he kissed my stomach. I believed him with all my heart. Looking back, I realized the warning signs started months before the accident. He began working late. His phone was always face down. If it buzzed, he'd leave the room before answering. When I asked if everything was okay, he'd smile. "Just work." I wanted to trust him. After everything we'd survived together, I convinced myself not to become paranoid. Then came the phone call. "Are you Mrs. Olivia Parker?" "Yes. I'm calling from Memorial Hospital." My heart froze. "Your husband was involved in a serious collision." I grabbed the kitchen counter to keep from falling. "Is he alive?" "Yes." I started crying with relief. Then came the sentence that shattered me. "He wasn't alone." Silence. "We found him with another woman." Everything inside me broke. I barely remember driving. I only remember repeating one question. Why? When I arrived, a doctor met me outside the emergency department. "Mrs. Parker?" I nodded. "Your husband is stable." "And the woman?" The doctor hesitated. "She's also alive." I felt sick. A nurse escorted me toward Ethan's room. As we passed another room, I caught a glimpse of a woman about my age lying unconscious. Dark hair. Beautiful. My knees almost gave out. The nurse whispered, "That's her." I looked away immediately. I couldn't bear another second. When I entered Ethan's room, his face was bruised. His arm was in a cast. The moment he saw me, tears filled his eyes. "Liv." I stepped backward. "Don't." He looked confused. "I know." His face drained of color. "The hospital called." He tried to sit up. "It's not what you think." I laughed through tears. "Isn't it?" He reached for me. "I can explain." I pulled my hand away. "No explanation starts with another woman in your car." I walked out before he could say another word. Outside, my mother-in-law Susan was waiting. She hugged me tightly. "I'm so sorry." I assumed she meant the affair. Instead, she whispered something that made no sense. I told him this secret would destroy everything. I frowned. "What secret?" Her eyes widened. Before she could finish, Ethan's younger brother Daniel rushed over. "Mom." He pulled her away. "We shouldn't do this here." Something felt terribly wrong. The next morning, I returned to the hospital intending to collect Ethan's belongings before filing for divorce. While packing his overnight bag, his phone buzzed. Normally, I would have respected his privacy. Not anymore. The message simply read, "Did she find out about Emma?" My stomach twisted. Emma. The woman from the accident. I opened the conversation. What I found wasn't romantic. It was strange. Most messages came from Ethan to Emma. "Did your treatment go okay? I'll bring the paperwork tomorrow. You don't have to thank me." There wasn't a single flirtatious message. Instead, there were scanned medical bills, insurance forms, appointment reminders. I became even more confused. Then another message appeared. From Emma. I'm sorry your wife got dragged into this. Dragged into what? I quietly walked out and found Emma's room. She was finally awake. The moment she saw me, she started crying. You must hate me. I don't even know who you are. She closed her eyes. I'm sorry. I folded my arms. Were you having an affair with my husband? She looked horrified. No. Then why were you together? She hesitated. I promised him I'd never tell you. My patience snapped. My marriage is over. She looked down. No. She whispered. It's just beginning. Those words haunted me. Before she could explain further, Daniel entered the room. The moment he saw me, panic spread across his face. Emma. He looked at her desperately. Don't. She stared back. I'm tired of lying. Daniel grabbed my arm outside the room. You need to leave. Tell me the truth. It isn't my place. I looked directly into his eyes. My husband may have cheated on me. Daniel shook his head. He didn't. Then explain. Instead, he walked away. That evening, Ethan begged to see me. Against my better judgment, I agreed. He looked exhausted. I know what you're thinking. Good. I never cheated. I almost laughed. The hospital literally found you with another woman. I was driving her home from chemotherapy. I froze. What? He swallowed. Emma has leukemia. I stared at him. Why would you hide that? His answer made my blood run cold. Because she's my sister. Everything stopped. What? My half-sister. I couldn't breathe. My father had an affair 30 years ago. I sat down slowly. Only my mother knew. He wiped away tears. Dad paid Emma's mother to stay away. When she died last year, Emma tracked me down. I struggled to process everything. So, you've been helping her? He nodded. She had nobody. Why keep it secret? He looked ashamed. My mother begged me. The pieces suddenly started fitting together. Susan hadn't been protecting an affair. She'd been protecting her late husband's betrayal. But another question remained. If that's true. I whispered. Why was Daniel acting so strange? Ethan looked confused. I don't know. That answer didn't satisfy me. The next day, Emma suddenly disappeared from the hospital. No discharge. No notice. Just gone. Hours later, I received an anonymous envelope. Inside were photographs. Emma talking to Daniel. Emma hugging Daniel. Emma entering Daniel's apartment. Someone had written one sentence across the pictures. They're lying to you. My heart sank again. Had Ethan invented the sister story? I hired a private investigator. I couldn't live with uncertainty anymore. 3 days later, he called. I have answers. He placed several documents on his desk. DNA reports. Birth certificates. Bank transfers. Everything confirmed Emma really was Ethan's half-sister. But then he slid over one final folder. This is the problem. Daniel had secretly withdrawn over $200,000 from their late father's hidden trust. The trust legally belonged to both Ethan and Emma. Daniel had discovered Emma months before Ethan did. Instead of helping her, he'd convinced everyone to keep her identity hidden while quietly stealing the inheritance she never knew existed. The anonymous photographs had come from Daniel himself. He wanted me to believe Ethan was cheating so our marriage would collapse. If Ethan divorced me during the chaos, Daniel believed nobody would notice the missing trust funds. My hand started shaking. He hadn't just tried to destroy my marriage. He'd tried to rob his own sister. I called Ethan immediately. We contacted an attorney. Then we invited the entire family to Susan's house. Daniel arrived smiling. What emergency? Susan looked nervous. Ethan quietly placed the financial records on the dining table. Daniel's smile disappeared. What's this? I connected my laptop to the television. The investigator's timeline appeared. Every stolen transfer. Every forged signature. Every fake document. Then Ethan looked directly at his brother. You blamed my wife. You hid my sister. And you stole her inheritance. Daniel laughed. You can't prove anything. The attorney calmly stood. I already have. He placed forensic accounting reports beside the bank records. Daniel looked around desperately. Nobody defended him. Not even Susan. She burst into tears. I already lost my husband's honesty. She looked at Daniel. I won't lose my soul protecting yours. Daniel slammed his fist onto the table. I deserved that money. Emma quietly stepped forward. I just wanted a family. Those 7 words broke the room. Daniel stormed toward the door. Police officers were already waiting outside. The attorney had contacted them before the meeting began. Daniel was arrested for fraud, forgery, and theft. As officers escorted him away, he screamed that everyone had betrayed him. Nobody answered. Weeks later, the court ordered every stolen dollar returned to Emma. Susan sold the vacation home she'd inherited from her husband and voluntarily gave Emma an additional share, saying it was the only way she could begin making up for decades of silence. Then came the moment I'll never forget. 2 weeks after our daughter was born, Emma visited our house. She held my baby gently. Tears rolled down her cheeks. I never thought I'd have a sister. I smiled. You do. She looked at me. I almost destroyed your marriage without meaning to. I shook my head. No. I glanced toward Ethan, who was rocking our daughter to sleep. The lies did. He walked over, wrapped one arm around me, and kissed our little girl's forehead. I'm sorry I kept the truth from you. I know. I was trying to protect everyone. I smiled sadly. And that's exactly why secrets become dangerous. He nodded. I'll never choose silence over honesty again. Years later, people still ask whether I regret answering that phone call. The truth is, that call didn't reveal my husband's betrayal. It revealed his family's. I thought I was rushing to the hospital to say goodbye to my marriage. Instead, I was unknowingly driving toward the truth that would save it. And every time I look at my daughter surrounded by parents who finally learned that honesty is stronger than fear, I'm grateful I didn't let one heartbreaking sentence decide the rest of my life.